20% of the people that call me for coaching stuff are crying, gang, crying. They just cannot beat this thing. They've tried every diet under the sun, but they just can't seem to do the sugar part of it. They can do all the rest of the diet, but they can't seem to do the sugar part of it. So anyway, let's get started. Somehow my little clicker is not working, so we're going to be scrolling through these slides. But I don't know that we'll have time for questions at the end. I've got a thing I have to run to, but so please pay attention, and there will be a recording for the folks that have showed up and given us your time. So hold on just a second. Here we go. And I'd like to start out with something that will probably summarize this entire presentation, okay? I had a woman, a client of mine, Michelle. She had lost 100 pounds on the keto diet, okay? Now, the diet didn't really matter, but this just happened to be the keto diet. But she was stuck with 60 more pounds to lose, all right? Now, every time, like, she would fall off the quote-unquote wagon, and this had been dragging on for a year, she'd fall back to the peanut M&Ms, all right? Now, the side part of the story, which took us a little bit to discover, and that took some digging to discover, is that for 12 years, she was with this man, okay? And in this time in her life, 3 people had died, a parent and 2 aunts and uncles, right? And she was the executor on all of these estates, right? Really stressful time in her life. And we kind of got it all backwards. We audited it. We figured out what was we tried to figure out what was going on, and we checked her diet. We checked everything, right? But she just couldn't seem to get off the sugar, all right? So what we found out, though, is that every time she had used or abused sugar, every time she had fallen back to the peanut, and there are other things, not just necessarily the peanut M&Ms, but she had a dust up with this guy, okay? It was a very volatile relationship to begin with, and she just didn't seem to be able to make it right, okay? It was just, she didn't want to, when we got right down to it, she didn't want to be in the relationship. And at the end of the day, now, it's about 4 years later, 5 years later, the man is gone, the 60 pounds is gone, all the estates were settled long ago, and she's very, very happy. Simply because we understood, and you will see in this presentation, that this had nothing to do with the food, the sugar, the keto diet, had nothing to do with any of that. And I've got 3 points that are the highlights, and I want you to be ready with your pen. I think that's the next slide. I want you to take notes, okay? If I say write this down, it's kind of a tick I got. I don't even know I'm saying it, okay? Sometimes I get ahead of myself in the excitement in the slides as well. So get ready to write, and, close all the other things, close the door, let the kids take care of themselves for a little bit. But we're going to get really down and dirty with the 3 things that I've learned over the last decade of doing this sugar thing. All right. And one thing is clear, and very clear: the science around the use and abuse of sugar is exploding, okay? There is no doubt. Every day I wake up, because obviously I'm on all these lists of people working in the sugar industry, sugar space, the sugar recovery space. So it's just exploding. Scientifically, we know what's going on now. The world's leading researchers and scientists and educators are starting to understand the addiction and behavioral change piece of this puzzle. The brain and our emotions as part of this issue are finally taking center stage. Guys, write that down. The brain and our emotions as part of this issue are finally taking center stage, okay? The reason since the 1970s and 80s, the obesity rate has gone straight up because of the introduction of high fructose corn syrup into the diet, not even the blatant sugar stuff like the sweets and the ice creams and the cookies and the candies, but the regular food system. 80% of the foods have sugar in them, gangs, and people just don't know what hit them. I call it an evolutionary mismatch, okay? The human body was not supposed to be involved in this type of a food system, and now we're in trouble, okay? We're in big trouble. Here's a partial list of the bodily health functions and problems associated with excess of sugar. Look, I really believe that I shouldn't even have to do this, guys. I shouldn't even have to explain this to you guys. The science, or excuse me, the media is doing a great job already and has been for like 2 or 3 decades, all right? Tooth decay, your mom told you about that. Obesity, common knowledge. Look, it's in every diet book on the planet that if you started using, if you, it says get off the white stuff. Every single diet book, all of them. There's not one that doesn't say this, okay? Get off the white stuff, meaning sugar and flour. Type 2 diabetes. Did you guys know, most of you do, they used to call the disease sugar. I got sugar, I have sugar. It used to be the name of the disease, okay? So type 2 diabetes. And I'm going to run through the rest of these because you guys already know them, okay? Metabolic syndrome, which is a little bit more complicated, but it's basically diabetes and waiting to happen. High blood pressure, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease hardly existed 40 years. Now we have an epidemic of 5-year-olds, gang, 5-year-olds that have fatty liver, okay? They don't drink any alcohol, guys. They really don't. It's just distressing, all right? Heart disease, stroke, gout, goes on and on, all right? Chronic inflammation. This one is now, it's a little, only really 10 years old, we're starting to understand what it's doing to your joints, your hands, and your knees. In our groups, hands and knees are a paper tiger. That pain goes away instantly, okay? Poor cholesterol levels, insulin resistance, impaired immune, certain cancer. Sugar feeds cancer. We all know this. We've interviewed Lewis Cantley, who's now at Harvard, but the lab at Cornell University is named for the man, Lewis Cantley. I asked him on the interview, does sugar cause cancer? He said, Michael, sugar causes cancer. The man is a cancer researcher for 40 years. He knows what's up. And we all know these things, what they affect them. But the missing piece of the puzzle is beginning to emerge, guys. The missing piece of this puzzle is simple. And we discovered it over a decade worth of work of coaching, groups, online trainings, just interaction with tens of thousands of sugar folks, sugar addicts, if you will. Poor mental health. Type 3 diabetes is also being called Alzheimer's is now being called type 3 diabetes because it is a metabolic syndrome of the brain, guys, okay? When we do our surveys, the most people lose literally hundreds of pounds, 100, 200 pounds, right? They put type 2 diabetes in remission. But what they're really excited about is their mental clarity has returned, okay? Their memory, their focus, and the anxiety that they used to have, both around the sugar itself and generalized anxiety in their life. These are the things that they talk about. Literally, people lost 100 pounds, and that's number 2 or 3 sometimes on the list, above, or, and mental health is above it, okay? I'd ask you to ask your patients. A lot of doctors follow us, a lot of therapists, a lot of gym owners follow us. Your patients, your parents, your siblings, and your friends, ask them, the ones with health issues, especially your parents, guys. This might be a mirror of where you're headed. If there's type 2 diabetes in your family, if there's Alzheimer's in your family, okay? These things are very real. My mother died of sugar addiction, gang. She did not die of Alzheimer's. At the end of her life, the only thing we could get her to eat was sugar products. She would not eat real food. There was no filter there, okay? It was very distressing, and I'm sure a lot of you have gone through some sad stuff. So who am I? I'm going to blast through this. A lot of you know because you're on our email list or one of our social medias, but just for the folks that don't know, because we're going to be sending this out to quite a few people here. is real quick. I am the original sugar-free man. You can see it in the background there. We founded the Quit Sugar Summit 7 years ago. We're on our 11th event. I've interviewed over 400 of the world's leading experts. And here's an interesting phenomena. What happened in doing that, in having these interviews every year, is that there would be guys that were languishing in anonymity who had never really even met the other researchers, and they started to meet one another, and then things started to overlap. Things started to cross over into other parts of the work, of their work. And so they started to collaborate. And what came of it is that, well, let me finish this. Sugar addiction was the first, sugaraddiction.com was the first website about sugar addiction. I raised 2 sugar-free kids from the womb until they were 6 years old. They never had sugar, flour, or caffeine in the womb or until they were 6. And they never had it after that in the house, only outside birthday parties. And we just recently did a sugar-free kids summit, which was cool. So what I want to do right now, and hopefully you have your pens out, you're ready, the introduction stuff is over, you know why we're here. I want to give you an overview of the 3 biggest takeaways from 33 years sugar, flour, and caffeine free, 12 years at the helm of sugar addiction, the sugar-free kids, and 5 years full-time coaching and building Sugar Freedom Tribe platform, over 45,000 people, okay? So you can see these, I don't know if you can see them on the screen, Dr. Palmer from Harvard, Robert Lustig, Vera Tarman. I mean, we've interviewed anybody who's anybody in the world of sugar, over 400 experts. See, I get a little ahead of myself over the last 7 years. And we've got thousands of written testimonials, which we help create. Okay, here's a quick prerequisite. I must tell you that this is not a one and done process, okay? This is not a one and done process. You cannot just detox and then all of a sudden think that. That's what I get pissed off about with these people out there that are like selling sugar detoxes as an addition to their weight loss program or their diet program or their gym program. This is not a one and done process, okay? This is a lifetime educational process that we're going to show you right now. This is not a diet, okay? Write this part down, right? This is a behavioral change process that has a structure. Write that part down. It's not a diet. It's not a diet. How many times am I going to have to say that this evening and for the rest of my life? Because this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. This is not a diet. It's a behavioral change process that has a structure. 30, 60, 90 days. And then 365. These will be really important, mostly because you already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There's hundreds, literally hundreds of peer-reviewed studies about diets. And everyone who loses any amount of weight, 95+%, gain it all back and then some. And I'm going to explain why here as we travel through this little presentation, okay? Statistically, everyone, at 95+% fails at diets in the first year, okay? You can muscle a diet for a little bit. You can get off it a little bit. But at the end of the day, everyone fails, except the people who work with us. And we're going to show you why that is, all right? If you ever felt like the odd person out in your old friend group or even your own family after trying yet another diet, sugar and food recovery is worse and requires a special kind of eternal vigilance. I love that phrase, eternal vigilance. It's like brushing your teeth, okay? It's like the prayers you say at night, okay? It's like dressing in the morning, showering in the morning. It's an eternal vigilance that you must hopefully get it automatic, and we're going to show you how to do that, but it's super important part of the process in changing the diet because you are going to be different. I have to break that to you now, okay? You're going to be a little bit different if you want to succeed. The process of change takes time for you to feel comfortable. Coming back to homeostasis takes time. Homeostasis, for those who don't know, means simply that your body comes back to the normal body. what we find is that most of our clients are women, and they actually have gained 1 to 2 or 3 pounds over the last, whatever, 20, 30, 40 years now from college or high school. And now they're, 30 to 50, or sometimes as much as 100 or more pounds overweight. And they've been through, most of our folks have gone through, in the surveys that we do, gone through 7 different diets, at least. That's an average, and some are higher and some are lower, but you've just cycled through so many, okay? And if you're here for a quick fix, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed, okay? If you don't want to do the work, you probably best sign out right now. If you're not ready to change, if you're not ready for the straight information that I've garnered over a decade of doing this, then you're probably in the wrong Zoom, okay? So let's dive in. How can you change and the high level hard won thoughts and ahas, days 1 through 30, okay? Number one, write this down. It's not about the food, all right? It's not about the food, but for 30 days, it is a little bit, okay? And I'm going to show you why, okay? But in general, this change, this transformation that you're looking for is not about the food, okay? Obviously, oh, I got it right here, probably the next slide. And if you came for a diet or an exercise plan, or to get tips on what to eat and not to eat, you're in the wrong Zoom, okay? I'm not going to help you there. It's not going to help, okay? We will show you menus, we'll help you, all that kind of stuff. We can tell you what to eat, we can tell you what to avoid, but you already know this. You just reach deep in your soul in this whole presentation and already tell me that you know this. You know what to eat. It's executing. I call it the compliance problem, okay? We have doctors, gym owners, dieters, diet books have a compliance issue, and they all end up coming to us to help the folks get off the sugar, okay? So please. And of course, you need to eat whole food, all right? We already know that. More on moderation in a minute, but moderation does not work for the true sugar addict. And if you're on this call, likely you might be a sugar addict, or might want to try and decide if you are a sugar addict, okay? So here's our simple scratch test, okay? Write it down. You know what a scratch test is, gang? So they'll scratch your arm or your back or something with dust or ragweed or pollen or whatever, chocolate, stuff that they think you might be allergic to. And then if it inflames, then you're allergic to that thing. Our scratch test was sugar, because likely from the womb, or since you were a child, you've never been more than a day or 2 without sugar, okay? And so we ask you to commit to 90 days and to see if possibly something or everything in your life changes. Your weight, your skin, your rheumatoid arthritis, your brain fog, all this stuff clears very rapidly, okay? 90 days, that's the commitment. Now here's the science of all this, okay? You can look at this like the obesity crisis, all right? There's 3 types of sugar users and addicts, okay? Normies, harmful users, and addicts. Let's start with addicts, okay? Addicts, sugar addicts, true sugar addicts, biochemically, gang, cannot ingest sugar without creating massive cravings for more sugar, okay? So look, it's really super important, and I can't tell you if you're an addict, only you can make this determination, okay? Above that, now that's about 1/3 of people. Above that, about 1/3 of people are harmful users, which a lot of you may fall into. And that's because of the food system that I mentioned earlier, okay? The food system in our world today, okay? So harmful users have just got too much in, they partook in the other stuff, and they possibly someday might be able to go back to, normal, controlled, regulated use. A lot of people wish they were harmful users. They'd take the scratch test and kind of declare themselves addicts, whatever, doesn't matter. And normies, we all hate normies. Normies are normal. They're like your friend who's not, friends that have an alcohol problem or whatever. They can drink a half a glass of wine and never think about it for a month. Same with harm or normies here. Okay. This is normal people who can eat half a brownie, leave it there on the plate, not even think about it for a month. Okay. And there's plenty of people like that. And we don't service those people. But I do want to make something very clear. You can be a very thin, while these 1/3 obese, 1/3 overweight, and 1/3 normal weight, you can be a very thin sugar addict. We've got ultra marathoners. We got ultra marathoners as coaches. We got an Olympic athlete. Now the ultra marathoners brought in half her tribes. You got like 5 or 6 women who were all carrying 20 to 30 extra pounds. Imagine this, gang, running 100 miles a week and still couldn't get that last 20 pounds off. Okay. That you're not going to exercise yourself out of this. All right. And where I learned all this, I was a chairman of the Food Addiction Institute, which is a nonprofit that, they've been studying this work for 20 years. Okay. So that's where the third and the third and the third came from. All right. Now, a word about moderation. This is the scary part. Okay. We're entering scary territory. So be ready, bolster yourself up. Okay. Moderation for the true addict, as I said earlier, does not work. Okay. And the only way to determine if you're an addict is to give yourself that gift of 90 days, to give yourself 90 days of freedom with help, because likely you've tried it yourself and hasn't worked out that way. Okay. So again, moderation for a sugar addict is not going to work. For a harmful user, it may to a degree or for a time, but it still at the end of the day is going to be a problem. All right. So you've got to look at moderation. I always kind of like the phraseology, like you have to accept life on life's terms. If biochemically, for whatever reason, and science isn't perfectly clear on this, gang, if you can't moderate, you've got to give yourself that gift of 90 days to see where you're at, just to get your bearings. Okay. Now, in the beginning, yes, we need to guide you through the initial sugar detox. And we've done tens of thousands of them in the 30-day process. We've got videos for the whole thing because I can't answer all the questions all the time. But that's just the beginning. All right. There is a withdrawal process, and that is defined by lethargy. And you may have all experienced this when you've attempted this. Lethargy, irritability, what appears to be severe hunger, which it isn't really, and I'll explain that maybe. Headaches, needing lots of sleep, and cravings, massive cravings. These cravings are determined, this massive hunger or this craving for sugar, this need, I got to have ice cream, I got to have chocolate, I've got to have soda, I've got to have these things, is literally because the drug, sugar, is the drug delivery system is your stomach, and your body is going to do everything it can to get that in. Now, what you're looking for is not sugar, and write this one down. You're looking for a dopamine hit, okay? Your body is co-opting itself, is doing everything it can to re-ingest, to get the dopamine, because you've trained it so for decades, all right? And so, if you go through these, if we can guide you through these experiences and let you know what's up, what's next, what to expect, and have someone to be accountable to, then you can walk out of it. All right. And please look, stop calling this crap this keto flu or candida diet or hypoglycemia, because we've had all those things disappear very quickly, and start calling what it really is with sugar addiction withdrawals. All right. Super important. But that's just the physical, the biochemical, as you'll see in a minute. That's not where the problem or the solution lies, okay? Write that part down. That's not where the solution lies, all right? It's not in the food. That's what this number 1 is about. It's not the food, okay? Now, I want you to think nicotine here, gang, not alcohol or heroin. Yes, it is a drug. It will soon be named into the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. The work was done in May. The public hearings are in September in San Francisco. It's really going to happen, okay? food addiction or ultra-processed carb addiction, ultra-processed food addiction, sugar addiction. One of what, no one knows what the name's going to be, but at least it's going to be presented as a real malady, okay? Now, look, you've all done hard things before. You've birthed children, raised children, got advanced degrees, and all of that exercise that you've done. Please just give me 90 days. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for the world. I'm asking, do you get, not me, give, I call it Mike, buying into Mikey's little fantasy. Give yourself 90 days, okay? Please. And look, this is an important part of number one. You're here and I commend you, but stop researching this. Stop, okay? We've done the research. Information gathering and dopamine, information gathering in and of itself creates dopamine. You're literally substituting your sugar addiction for another dopamine hit. People come to me with so much information about diet and nutrition. We have nutritionists, we have dietitians, we have all these people who are advising people during the day, gym owners and doctors and therapists who are our clients and our coaches, who when they came to us were so damn knowledgeable about quote unquote nutrition, but when it came to addiction and recovery, about changing this biochemical reaction of sugar in their body, they have no idea what they're talking about and no idea how to do it, okay? This is a huge topic. I've done webinars on this, so please just listen here for another 10, 15 minutes, and I'm going to finish this up and show you what's up, okay? Now, it's really valuable when you get off the sugar on days, past 90 or past even 60. You can start to research it, because now not only is exercise a good dopamine, is getting a hug or getting a massage or some other type of dopamine, but you can help yourself. You can't exercise your way out of this, but you can help yourself with the dopamine. Plus, you're learning stuff. We have entire groups within our system of people I call tweakers. These are people that want to live long and healthy lives, who are really into the research. I learn stuff every time I go to one of those meetings, okay? So save your research for the after you're sugar-free. This is a real big pet peeve with me. Okay, number 2, write it down. I'll take a quick hit of water. Your emotional management systems. Okay, this is my core message, all right? This is my core learning. This is the core learning of this evening, all right? In the first 30 or 60 days, but it can start as soon as day 1, all right? Something's going to happen. It's going to feel almost like a psychotic break. The common refrain is, Mike, I'm losing my mind, okay? This is what people are always telling me. Because look, I'm probably might get ahead of myself. You've been comforting yourself with sugar for decades. You've literally grooved neural pathways in your brain to accept that dopamine hit from the substance sugar, okay? And the science is super clear on why and how this dopamine happens, and we don't have to go into it. Now, look, it's a common fact in the world of substance use disorder, is that if you started using drugs and alcohol at 14 or 15 years old, you stopped growing emotionally. Your life's a mess. Your relationships are a mess. Your career's a mess. Everything is upside down, because every day you would have life's issues and problems and stressors, and then you would use a substance, drugs, alcohol, whatever, and you would numb that pain. But the morning after, you still have the problems, and now you've got a hangover and the problem, okay? So what is really fascinating is that, like those surveys I told you, and the thousands of recovering sugar and food addicts that I've talked to, they don't talk about their food, okay? What they talk about is this recovery of their emotional systems, their ability to handle stress, their ability to handle closure or old trauma if it comes up, okay? It's super, super important part of the process. And I think I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, here it is. The $78 billion diet culture doesn't address any of this. It only focuses on the eat less and exercise more bullshit, okay? It's nothing. It's not what works. It's not the real issue here, gang. It's just not the real issue, all right? Trauma, comfort food, and sugar addiction are real, okay? If you've experienced, now it doesn't have to be capital T, trauma, sexual abuse, or physical abuse, but there was something in your past that's not closed, and you end up looping it, but you get tired of it some night on the couch with the TV, and you just want to shut the thing down. Not only that, but you have learned, I think it's the next slide, your parents taught you this, that they'd give you a cookie, they'd send you to the TV, you were crying, you were upset. Instead of getting down and getting on your level, they gave you that cookie or that brownie or that sucker or that candy and sent you to the TV. And we are trained this way. And literally, like I said, a neural pathway has been grooved in your brain to accept this, okay, to understand that this actually works. And the use of sugar to blunt these feelings gets no respect. You guys remember Rodney Dangerfield, gets no respect. It gets no respect as a powerful enough drug to do this. But look at you've heard the term, the dose makes the poison. Well, the dose makes the poison. We do a little heroin, we do a little alcohol, we do a little cocaine, whatever, but we are pounding 40 plus teaspoons a day. That's average. It's 30 something average. So if you've got any habit at all, you're doing more than 40 teaspoons of sugar through your body a day. Your stomach's got to process it, your bloodstream, your liver, your urinary tract, all these things have to process 40 teaspoons of sugar a day on average, okay? Again, if you're really overweight or you have a serious sugar deal, it's like 40, 50, 60 teaspoons a day. It's a powerful enough drug because we take so much of it, all right? Make no mistake, write this down. This is a substance use disorder, okay? This is the non-stigmatized term for addiction, right? Even the government websites no longer have the term addiction, junkie, alky, whatever. They use substance use disorder. And this, sugar and ultra-processed carbohydrate, is a substance use disorder. I've been sober for 37 years. For the first 20, I helped recovering alcoholics and drug addicts get sober. And this, in the last decade, has so far outdistanced that as the real, I call it the gateway drug, the drug where you don't realize you're changing how you feel, but you end up doing it just unconsciously. It's literally because sugar is almost free and ubiquitous and you can always get some, even a child can score it. You end up, using this product unconsciously, thinking this is just my life. I just want some ice cream. You don't cleave it apart. You don't journal it out. You don't work with a coach or a therapist and say, I was pissed at my husband. I was mad at my boss. And I just wanted to numb out that night, okay? And look, it's very real. And if you don't think it is, it's time for you to leave the webinar, okay? Because we can't help you. We call it effort-based dopamine versus substance-based dopamine. Write that down. Effort-based dopamine versus substance-based dopamine. Now, when I say dopamine, I mean all of the, because dopamine is so famous now and so popular, I use it as a catch-all phrase for everything. Serotonin, a lot of you may be using SSRIs, Paxil, and all these kind of antidepressants, norepinephrine, oxytocin, GABA, the adrenal glands, the cannabinoid receptors, all of these things are affected by sugar and the amount that we're having, okay? So please, effort-based dopamine is a walk, a run, a hug, yoga, a massage, call a friend, good food, a sunset, music. There's a lot of ways to create dopamine and brain reward chemicals that don't revolve around a substance base, okay? So please, very important part of the process. Now, number 3, and write it down, the reason you can't get off of this is because we are isolated. You are isolated, likely in your own family. 90+% of the folks do not have the support of even their own family. And we're tribe animals, okay? What works is coaching, community, and peer support. These are always the answer, all right? These are always the answer. And 30 days, 30 to 365. But again, this can start on day one. If you get like the sweet spot, the hard spot is days, because we've done so many of these, the hard spot is days 3 through 7, something like that. First 2 days, kind of a grace day. But in those 3 days, you add the physical biochemical withdrawals with the emotional changes you need to make. And again, that refrain comes out, Mike, I'm losing my mind, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to like get into that position. So peer support, look, this is a super important part of the process. We're tribe animals. You've got to have the support of other people. And look, getting detox doesn't mean anything. That's why I'm so pissed off at all of these ridiculous sugar detoxes, these 5-day cleanses. I mean, I counted them up one time: 3-day, 5-day, 7-day, 10-day, 14-day, 21-day, 28-day, 30-day. All of these detoxes are just bolt-ons, if you know what that means. They're just added to some other diet program, some other, pill or potion or shake or exercise regime, okay? So please, it's not going to help. It's only going to aggravate it, because it's going to leave you hanging. So often the folks that we work with get near zero support, even in their own family. 85% plus, I said 90 before, but it's like 85% do not have the support of even their spouses, okay? Their kids aren't on board. Here's why. You've likely tried 5 or 10 diets before. You changed their whole routine. You changed their food. You cook differently, and you still didn't make it, okay? So they don't want to join your party, okay? So as a tribe animal, as someone who succeeds by being with a crowd, being with a group, you need to get support outside the family, okay? And that's how it works, all right? Our community is based on the same concepts of other recovery communities: peer recovery and harm reduction. Now, you can define these any way you choose, all right? One of the things that people are amazed with me is like, any amount of harm reduction means any amount of sugar reduction or control that you can get working with us is important, okay? You define that. I don't tell you you're an addict. No one makes this claim or call for you. No one tells you if you're, we describe what it is, what a harmful user is, but we do not tell you what to choose. We let the scratch test, the 90 days, tell you, let your body tell you. Peer recovery is one of the most underrated therapeutic and behavioral change modalities on the planet, okay? Even in the world of heart transplant or heart attacks and cancer, all these groups, if they join a group, their survival rate skyrockets. I mean, literally goes through the roof, all right? And it just works. I mean, peer recovery, and in the recovery world, that's all there is, the recovery world. We call what we do loving mirrors. I want you to write that down. You already know, you're on here, I'm telling you stuff, a lot of what you already know, okay? What you're missing, what's lacking in your process is a loving mirror, okay? Not a drill sergeant at the gym telling you to do more push-ups or sit-ups or running, but a loving mirror of someone like myself or one of our coaches who's already done what you want to do, okay? And it's so amazing to me that people end up, literally, they have all their own answers. All I do is help draw it out and help them get a plan to work this so that they can work out of it, okay? As I said, cancer survivors, we're tribe animals. So what we ask you to do is in 90 days to listen, to engage, and participate. We have 2 and 3 meetings a day, 4 in some cases, every single day. So you'd never be more than a couple of hours away from a coach. And it's what we call our secret sauce. This is the reason why people are, succeeding in our group at such crazy numbers. We're trying to get some grad students in to quantify this for you so that we can show actual surveys and charts and everything of people that have gone through our program. And, but, suffice it to say, the testimony, I think I got some testimonials down here, but I want you to write this down. Okay. You cannot figure out how you got into this mess, either as an individual or as a society, until we realize and accept the real reason that we got into it. Okay. And that's what we've been discussing. So how do you change your situation? How do you finally change your life? Okay. Coach assisted sugar detox. Again, don't bail out because they're not going to sell you anything. I'm just going to describe this to you. Coach assisted sugar detox. All right. It's different from any other program we've ever offered. It's because you'll have your own personal one-on-one coach for an entire 90 days who will create a step-by-step sugar detox plan, tailor-made specifically for you and your lifestyle. Okay. It's super different than anything we've ever offered, and definitely anything on the market. All right. Because of a decade's worth of experience in the three things that I mentioned, only because, they say genius is only pattern recognition. We've seen so many people attempt this, and we've failed, everyone does, but the trial and error that we've gone through, we've never had anyone get a one-on-one coach and fail. Okay. They get to the other side. They finally believe someone's in their corner. All right. You'll get instant access to the 30-day sugar detox for the folks who are already on our sugar detox. You know what that is. You know how powerful the group and the meetings are. But your coach will be going through it alongside you to ensure you make the full 30 days. All right. That's super important. You'll have weekly check-in calls with your coach via Zoom. This is super important. People always come to us and say they need accountability. They need someone to tell on. They tell on themselves. Like I always say that when I'm trying to get good at something, I tell on myself if I'm doing something bad. This support and this accountability are the keys to your success. You get any question or concern answered via text, chat, email, Zoom, whatever, WhatsApp. Your personal coach within minutes. They're there to support you, and especially during the times you need it most. All right. You get access to our Sugar Freedom Tribe, where we host 4 live meetings, 365 days a day. That's 4 a day. These are not mandatory, but you provide extra support, the one-on-ones that you get from your coach, which is cool. And last but not least, you'll learn the science of how sugar addiction works, giving you all the tools and knowledge you'll need to stay abstinent for the long term. Look, all those other programs can show you how to muscle through this, get off it for a little bit. But I'm sure you've all done that. And, people always fall back. We're here for a long-term solution. All right. Okay. In month 1, I'm going to go through this really quickly because, we did pretty well. Actually, I got this in less than 40 minutes. We started a little late. In month 1, we get you detox finally and permanently. That's the super important part. But during that process, here's a couple testimonials. Sarah says, 90 days. So grateful for this program, all your support. And there it is again, support. That's what worked. I have, like many, have tried to diet over and over and never had this kind of success. Getting sugar flour completely out of my diet has been a game changer. I plan to continue forward since I'm seeing the benefits of a sugar-free life. I never want to go back to feeling out of control, sluggish, exhausted, not to mention sick and bloated. Well, you can read that. You don't need me. Oh, here's another one. Jody, I can share a win. She recently made 365 days, listened to my videos, training to get more involved. And this is where you kind of got to get in the middle of the boat if the boat's rocking, you know what I mean? Decisions. She's celebrating her progress. In the early days, those videos and daily meetings made all the difference. Okay. Danielle. So this is really pretty interesting. Danielle, almost a year ago, had the opportunity to work with me as a coach. After 4 months on her own, it was the deep insights into my recovery that I needed, especially around getting off caffeine, and a loving mirror to help me see where I was fooling myself. This is important. We're really good at, deluding ourselves when we want to get that dopamine hit. It was an investment in myself and my mental health. Okay. This is interesting. Since then, I've not had what I call a hypoglycemia-induced panic attack. That's like, I learned something brand new working with Danielle. It was just amazing. So anyway, so in month 1, you and your coach are going to lay out the correct foundation for this long-term control. Okay. The correct foundation, write that part down, because restriction and exercise, look what happens when you do restriction and exercise. So you restrict the food, but then you go out and work your ass off, butt off, try to work your butt off by exercising your heart out, okay? And you're creating dopamine. So you're getting a little substitution of the dopamine, but you're not solving the problem. You're not making yourself aware of the problem, okay? And this is super important and what all the other detoxes miss. In month 2, you will have settled down physically and the cravings will be way down. But now we need to work on your mental game and explore why you were drawn to sugar for comfort in the first place. Look, we're not therapists. We don't play them on the internet, but we have had so much experience as loving mirrors, as coaches, as, accountability partners, whatever you want to call, we call them sugar freedom buddies. We don't force you, but we ask you to get a group of sugar freedom buddies that you can text to as part of the process. But we've had so much experience with this mental game that we know when you're craving sugar, like we sit you down and say, what do you really need, honey? And you can say that to yourself. What do you really, write that down. What do you really need, honey? What's really eating you? What's really craving? What are you really craving? Okay. And why you were drawn to sugar. Again, it's just a pattern that's evolved over decades. And we have to rewire your brain in the first 90 days. Okay. And finally, in month 3, we set the stage for your long-term success with proprietary tools that have produced thousands and thousands of success stories. Okay. This is a brand new program. And so because of that, we've adjusted pricing, we've adjusted everything, how the coaches work with it. We have 14 coaches. We match you up, I call it match the hat. Okay. So we have an ultra marathoner. If you're an athlete, we have, women in their 70s who've gotten fatty liver. They've cured themselves of fatty liver. We have people in the recovery programs of 12-step AA. We got 3 of them. They're recovering alcoholics and drug addicts. And who said each one of them and all the other 500 recovering folks that it was easier to get off alcohol and drugs than it was to get off sugar. One of the coaches had already had bariatric surgery in her recovery. I mean, it's amazing stories of success, 60-pound, 100-pound weight loss stuff from recovering folks. And I know what you're thinking, well, before I tell you what you're thinking, I know what you are, let me tell you a couple more people. Amy, 90 days, crossed the finish line, weak and battered. She's had some gut issues, but she's life changed. Grateful for the tribe, meetings made the difference. 20 pounds of inflammation and weight gone, one day at a time. Okay. Nikki, coaching in this tribe has been the best thing to happen to me. I finally feel like I have the tools to be successful, and I wish for everyone to find the path, the same peace in this path. Please, if you're wondering if you're worth it, you will make more money. Time will pass anyway. Give yourself the gift of a one-on-one coach and become a lifetime member. Get to know the difference. So here's what you were thinking. How much is this going to cost me? Okay. What do I got to pay for this experience of, let me hit it in water here. How much is this going to cost me? All right. And I get it. But here's what I want to tell you. We have plans for everyone, literally everyone. Okay. Now, to do this right, you have to think that, all those coaches you've hired, all those trainers you've hired, all those doctors you've gone to, all those therapists you've been in. I always believe in therapy that you literally undo the therapy on the way home at the 7-Eleven. You talk about deep stuff, you're working through your problems, you're working through your issues, maybe your emotional issues, and to why you would abuse sugar and, get your body out of whack because you can't stop. But then you circumvent the whole process on the way home with that soda or that candy bar. And we've had people come to us with that same situation, 10 years of therapy, 20 years of therapy, and we break the addiction, and then they go back to therapy and they really work through this stuff. It all has to happen post-addiction. Okay, there is going to be an investment. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, and I got to think of a better way to say that, but it's going to cost some money to do this. You have to be ready to invest in yourself. Okay, it's a one-on-one, and we have to pay the coaches. They get the lion's share of the money. It's not for sugar addiction. It's not for us. We're a matching service. Okay, I'm available for a certain amount of people. The price is pretty high, and in the summer I've got 2 openings for those type of professionals, entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, people with some disposable income who struggle with this. But we have plans for everyone. Okay, why? Because we know how powerful one-on-one support is, and we don't want to have to turn down anyone who's committed to overcoming their sugar addiction just because of cost. Okay, again, we have plans for everyone. So, but I want you to know that we're only accepting 10 people at this time. We've made the investment involved. We've trained these coaches. We just graduated a big class. They're ready to talk with you, but we wanted to make this as affordable as possible. Okay. And here's where you go to book a call for this if you're interested. We'll talk through your situation. I'll take the calls personally, most of them. If I can't take one of my coaches will take it. One of the coaches will take it, one of my better coaches, but I endeavor to take all of the calls myself personally. All right. And I want to know your interaction with our system. Okay. Now I am going to stop this share and put in so go to sugaraddiction.com, and I'm going to put it in the chat if you're on a computer, .com/book call. If you have trouble getting there, maybe put www. Sometimes it doesn't work right. It doesn't have to be all lowercase, but you should make it all lowercase, sugaraddiction.com. Let me stop the share for a second and put this in the chat. Oh, I guess I could have done it without that. So if you want to just click on that chat thing right there and go to sugaraddiction.com / you will see this page. Let me see if it comes up for you. Yeah, you'll see this page. Okay. And it'll tell you more about it, but it'll also give you an opportunity at the bottom to schedule your call. All right. So look, we really want to help. We're dead serious. Oh, I think you didn't see that page because I took the share off. So let me put it back up there just so I can share the screen with that one. There it is again, and it's in the chat, sugaraddiction.com / book a call. We got this in. Look at that. 2 minutes to spare. I get excited about that part. Sorry. We got that in there. And I'm going to show you this page. What do I got to do? Oh yeah, I got to stop the share again in order to light it up again. Yeah, there it is. And then I got to hit share again. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sharing again. Then I'm lighting it up. I know what happens. I got it on the bottom. I guess I can't do it. But anyway, you'll see it when you go there. I never claimed to be a tech wizard here. And my guy's playing flag football. He's supposed to be watching me here. So as far as question and answer, what I'd like to do is, I'll answer a couple of questions. I'll open it up for questions. We're not going to talk about price here. You have to talk to me. if you want to know about the price. So please call, or please book the call. Matter of fact, I think it's probably best that we just do it that way. Please just, give us a call. You got to know me by now. If you've been in my system at any time at all, I want to make sure everybody gets off sugar. My goal is to have these meetings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to have hundreds of coaches. We're going into, we're going to certify training, sugar addiction coaches. We are sugaraddiction.com. And this process works, and I really want to get all you guys involved. So anyway, I think that's it. I think it's fair to the people that are listening on the recording. I'm going to put it in there one more time. Click on that right there. Book a call. Look, I also open Saturdays for you professionals or anybody. I open Saturdays. So please go there, book the call. I'll talk with you this Saturday or next. No, let's do it this Saturday. Tomorrow even I've got, let me change my schedule. I'll change my schedule as soon as I get off there. I'll open up a few more spots for tomorrow, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever works for you. I'll take Sunday off, but I do want to speak with each and every one of you. I do thank you for taking your time, and look at that, 1 hour on the button, minus 5 minutes at the beginning. So let me write this down just so you know. If you have questions, okay, in the chat, you will see Michael, Michael at sugaraddiction.com. All right. Make sure I spell it right. .com. So you can email me any questions you'd like, but please, I would prefer that you book a call and let's talk. Okay. They're scheduled for like 40 minutes or something like that, 30, 40 minutes. So budget an hour and we'll talk, and I'll tell you exactly what I think. I'll get a quick overview of your story. So please, let's talk tomorrow. Let's talk Saturday. Let's talk Monday. Okay, gang? We will see you. Let me hit the stop record button, and we will talk to you real soon. Bye for now. For all you folks that are already in our system, thank you, thank you, thank you. And all the folks coming in our system, welcome, welcome, welcome. Bye for now.